Today, we're getting into a topic that so many of you, especially educators and parents in India, have asked about: handwriting. And the core debate we're going to unpack is, I think, quite profound. Is improving a student's handwriting a quick fix, something you can sort out in a week, or is it a really essential long-term developmental commitment?
That distinction is absolutely everything. You see, schools are often under such intense pressure to show results and show them fast. But true skill mastery, especially something like a fine motor skill, it almost always needs sustained, methodical effort.
It really does. We're looking at this stark contrast between, say, an intensive 7 or 12-day intervention course and a full multi-year curriculum. We'll be using a system like RightWiz as a sort of benchmark. We really need to get to the bottom of what drives that temporary, almost cosmetic change versus what builds genuine transferable skill, the kind of skill you actually need for high-stakes exams.
Okay, let's start there, because if I'm a busy school principal, my mind immediately goes to the practicalities: budget, timetable, feasibility. So let's talk numbers. School managers, they know skill takes time, but they still so often choose that short, intensive course. Why is that route so tempting?
It's almost entirely driven by immediate pressure and, well, optics. A school leader might look at the commitment to a full system. Let's say it's 500 rupees per student per year.
Okay.
Now, multiply that across every grade for, 8 or 10 years. It starts to look like a massive recurring cost. A single one-off short intervention just feels more fiscally responsible. It's a line item you can budget for, and then it's done.
So just overcoming that initial sticker shock is the first big hurdle.
It is. And secondly, they need fast, visible results. They need to satisfy the parents, the governors. After a short, high-energy course, a parent will look at their child's book and immediately report a, quote, definite improvement.
And that feedback is gold for a school.
It's everything. It manages perception. It shows the school is being responsive. And, logistically, it's just easier. An external tutor comes in, handles everything, and then leaves. There's minimal ongoing commitment from the school staff.
That makes a lot of sense from an administrative point of view. But let's unpack what's actually happening inside those 7 or 12-day programs. What are they good at, and where do they, inherently fall short of that true mastery?
Well, they often provide an excellent jumpstart. I'm not going to deny that. They can be highly effective at diagnosing really obvious physical flaws.
What sort of things?
Things like correcting basic posture or fixing those dreadful pen-holding errors, the classic death grip you see,
Yeah.
or just adjusting where the caper is. And because it's new and intensive, it often injects a huge boost of motivation for the students.
So they fix the ergonomics and they get everyone excited.
Yes. But then you have to look at the methodology. The typical sequence just relies on moving through basic strokes so quickly. Standing lines, slanting lines, loops. And then it aggressively rushes through all the alphabets, words, sentences. It's often based on a very general copywriting methodology.
Right.
The main goal, really, of that short course is to create a dramatic, marketable before and after notebook. That notebook is the selling point. The issue is that the pseudo-improvement it shows, it tends to wane, to just fade away after a few weeks. It hasn't built a lasting neurological skill.
That is fascinating, and it leads us to the crucial question. If the improvement is so visible, why does it degrade so quickly once the tutor leaves? Why does the tampering start, as one of our sources put it?
Well, the fundamental issue is a complete lack of any sustained infrastructure. There's no follow-through. We have to remember that handwriting is a physical, fine motor activity. You should think of it like a musician learning an instrument or a child starting martial arts.
If you stop practicing.
Exactly. If you stop the dedicated practice after 12 days, the skill just degrades. It's as simple as that.
That analogy is absolutely key. If you spend 2 weeks learning the very basics of the piano and then never touch it again, you simply don't retain the muscle memory. The short course might create a temporary fluency, but it requires, as the sources say, frequent and regular practice sessions to convert that into a real habit.
And that's precisely where schools fall down. First, there's no teacher capability left behind. The staff are non-specialized. They just don't have the deep pedagogical skill needed to spot and correct subtle handwriting errors during normal classwork.
So they can't maintain the standard, the fidelity of the technique.
Precisely. And without dedicated, systemized time slots in the timetable, and we'd recommend a minimum of 2 periods a week, and without integrating that skill into homework, into class notes, the habit just doesn't stick. The skill lacks, what's the word?
Automaticity.
Automaticity. Let's dig into that. What does that actually mean?
Automaticity is the core neurological insight here. When you first learn to write, You're actively thinking about forming every single letter. Is this loop right? Is the slant correct? That takes up a massive amount of your cognitive load, your brain power.
Right.
Automaticity is when the skill is so ingrained that the hand just does it, freeing up the student's mind to focus on the content, on the complex thoughts, the maths theorem, the structure of the essay. A student who lacks automaticity is still spending all their mental energy on just forming the letters. The short course, you see, that it never gets them past that initial formation stage.
That lack of transfer is the absolute killer. So if these quick fixes fail to deliver that automaticity, what does a system designed for longevity look like? Let's turn to the long horizon K-12 approach, using the RightWiz model as an example. How does it build those foundational motor skills before a child even writes a letter?
The difference is all about methodical, research-based progression. It starts with muscle preparation. You can't just expect students to draw complex symbols without training the hand first, so the system builds fine and gross motor skills first. It includes fluency drills across 16 different directions using patented tools like Graphia.
Okay, hold on. Graphia, that's one of those names we need to unpack. What is it actually doing?
Graphia is a small, contoured guide. It's patented, and it's designed specifically to build finger muscle memory through these repeated motion drills. It's effectively teaching the hand the right movements, the curves, the joins, the strokes, before the student even attempts a letter. We also use something called pro grip early on to ensure the correct pencil hold, eliminating those bad habits right from the start.
So you establish a correct physical habit first, then you bring in the symbols.
Exactly. And then when the letters are introduced, they follow what we call a graphological progression. This means letters are grouped into structural families. So for example, you teach one letter, and to get to the next one, the student only has to make one tiny change. This grouping really helps with memory retention and fluency because they're practicing related motor movements over and over.
And it doesn't just stop with the letters. You mentioned the systematic connection training earlier. This means moving beyond just copying words. It's about actively training the hand to join every possible combination from A all the way to Z, and then focusing on rhythm using patterns like AAA or ABAB, integrating upper and lowercase letters smoothly.
That level of detail really shows the difference between just a syllabus and a proper curriculum. But the delivery is critical. How does a system like this make sure the teacher capability is actually maintained? Because a curriculum is only as good as the teacher delivering it.
That's probably the most critical success factor. You have to build the infrastructure. So success is built on fully supported teacher training. We call it GREM training. This training specifically helps a non-specialist teacher learn to recognize the 3 most common errors for their grade level in under 30 seconds. It makes monitoring feasible in a busy classroom. We also provide things like a stroke sequence demo book, which helps with auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning, and we maintain teacher class records. This ensures the implementation is happening correctly. The teacher feels supported, not just left alone with a book.
That systematic support changes the entire dynamic. It's not just about how they teach letters, but what they're preparing students for. Let's talk about the escalator method. How does this K-12 progression make sure the skill actually transfers, especially when a student is under the intense pressure of a real exam?
The escalator metaphor is quite intentional. Every step is planned and grade aligned, preparing them for the next cognitive jump. So, for example, in grade 2, the foundation is mastering posture, using the pro grip correctly, paper position, and ensuring correct letter height using 4-line sheets. Those are the basic mechanics.
Establishing those ergonomic basics early on, as we said.
Precisely. But by grade 6, the goal escalates dramatically. It's not just about neat letters anymore. It's about applying legibility and speed to complex tasks like cognitive writing, copying from the board accurately, and dictation. The curriculum explicitly includes training in subject-specific presentation.
And this is where it becomes highly relevant to actual exam scores.
Indeed. We train students on how to format mathematical theorems, how to write chemical formulas where the superscripts and subscripts have to be precise, professional, legible diagram labeling. Maintaining neatness while you're dealing with complex information in a timed exam is incredibly difficult. So our focus on speed writing and presentation skills, using margins, indentation, a neat layout, it directly addresses what an examiner needs to see. We know legible handwriting can improve the score in exams as well, simply because the examiner can read it efficiently without fatigue.
And that efficiency boosts confidence. A student who knows they can write a clean, well-formatted, complete answer in time has a massive academic advantage over a student whose focus is split between the content and just struggling with forming the letters.
That's a powerful argument.
Yeah.
Let's move to some rapid questions now to address the key stakeholders. First, for the principal. I see the value in this, but how quickly can I actually verify this multi-year commitment is working without constantly doing major audits?
Well, visible change is noticeable early on, but the continuous verification is built in. First, the system mandates 2 annual handwriting assessment tests. But more importantly, we implement something called the grade right system. This means teachers apply a handwriting grade from 1 to 5 alongside the subject marks in all written work.
Ah, so it's constant.
It becomes an integrated, continuous quality check. And plus, the 4 annual cursive challenge contests serve as excellent internal audit points as well.
Okay, a question from a teacher. 2 periods a week is a lot of curriculum time. Can we really spare that? And won't this just add to my marking load?
The 2 dedicated periods per week are, I'm afraid, strongly recommended for building that motor memory. That time commitment is what's needed to build automaticity. It's the required focused practice. However, the workload is minimized because the methodology is so structured. The teacher needs very little prep time. We provide ready-to-use things like the 7 Golden Rules posters for quick visual reinforcement. And crucially, every subject teacher who participates reports that their corrections get easier and faster overall once student handwriting improves. The initial time investment pays dividends in reduced marking fatigue.
Right. And finally, a question from a parent. Their child is already in high school, say grade 10 or 11, facing public exams. They need speed now. Is it too late?
Absolutely not. While starting early is always ideal, the program is flexible. It adapts to the entry point. For older students in grades 9 through 12 who need that targeted rapid improvement for exams, we offer the free WriteWiz Score Getter program. This specifically targets tactical exam preparation, improving speed, enhancing legibility under pressure, and perfecting presentation techniques in core subjects. It directly links better handwriting to getting better marks.
That adaptability is crucial. So what does this all mean when a school has to make a strategic decision? The ultimate goal, surely, is to ensure students have a skill that is functional and enduring, not just a temporary fix.
I think you can summarize it with a framework: short interventions. They provide instant but fleeting results. They risk that, or Dunning-Kruger effect, where the initial feeling of improvement, that showcase notebook, actually stops the rigorous practice before the skill can truly anchor itself.
Conversely, the long-term, research-based systems built on methodical practice and teacher support, they ensure the skill transfers. It becomes a habitual strength across all subjects. It's the difference between a quick, expensive photo op and a deeply ingrained, reliable tool a student carries with them for life.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, it makes perfect sense. Handwriting is fundamentally a fine motor skill. It's much like the art of Barudum or playing an instrument or even weight training. If we accept that mastery in those areas takes years of deliberate, sustained practice to build real muscle memory, why on earth would we expect instant mastery in writing? It's a skill that requires commitment, not a switch you can just flip in 2 weeks.
A commitment that pays dividends across the entire academic life of the student.
Absolutely. So the takeaway seems to be, if you want lasting, school-wide handwriting that actually holds up under the pressure of timed exams, choose a structured program with embedded teacher capability, non-negotiable routines, and proper grade-appropriate progression.